Welcome. We are a group on campus called the Power Five, and today we're going to be having a panel discussion talking about our project. But before we got to the project, let's talk about how we came up with the idea of doing the parking on campus. With me, I have Gavin, Raymond, I'm Jairus, Ramiro, and Miles. So, as a group, how did we come up with the parking being like our main problem? Were there other things that we thought of before?
As a group, we came up with a lot of issues that we could have talked about. One of them that we first were in a big discussion about was internships and job opportunities after you finish college and during your studies on what you could get into. Going through that, we realized there wasn't a lot of information out there, but the more we dove into that specific problem, we did realize the information was there. You just have to kind of search for it and find it.
Yeah, and I do recall we had another issue that we wanted to address. Could you?
Yeah, so after we talked about the internships and things, I kind of brought up the issue of the culture and the vibe that's here at Solano. I came from a big school. So I came from UC Davis, and it seemed like when I was there, like students were like proud to be there. Students were very involved. I was involved, but then like here, I didn't see that. It seems like people here are just kind of like. They come in, go to class, and just leave. There's no type of like real culture, atmosphere of like students like being proud, like to say, hey, I go to Solano. I don't think they're very involved. So that was our proposal. One of our proposals was to see how we could probably change that and get some atmosphere going here.
I do see that a lot. Being a part of the BSU on campus, it's really hard to get students to come out and do events. And I think a lot of it being is just it's a commuter school and it's a community college, so a lot of people just don't want to really be active on campus. But I think although we didn't do that problem, I think that's something that still needs to be addressed. Yeah. But how did we ultimately come up with the parking pass being our project?
I think we all felt like it was a very broad issue because if you're a student here at Solano, you have to have a parking pass unless you're paying for the day passes. And I believe 3 out of 5 of us commute, and that was also the issue we had. So we just felt like it was a real broad issue that every student can relate to with parking.
And I mean, and aside from that, like I think we all commute, but then some of us have more than one person in our families that also go to school here. And it kind of just, sometimes we have to figure out and make plans just to figure out how we can all get here, and it just complicates things sometimes.
Miles, could you talk on how we came to the conclusion that there was a parking problem on campus, like when we went and did some of the research?
Well, they had probably posted something on the school board or, notifying a lot of students about the changes that were coming, but I found out when I got here my first day of school, when I went to go buy a parking pass, I seen that there was $2 now instead of $1. When you think about it, it's not that big of a difference, but when it comes down to that, I need some change, like it's a big difference. And I think for me, it was like, I'm asking myself, what is the raise for, you know what I mean? And when I still see the same problems like that I've been seeing last year with the parking machine, not, taking change in the other parking lot in the back of the school or, potholes on the parking lot, so.
After we came up with the actual problem, what were some of the solutions that we came up with as a group to this problem?
We came up with a few solutions. The most pressing, I think, we came up with was we proposed a ride share. For people like myself, I know Gavin does as well. I ride with my wife. We have one car, one pass, excuse me. And we go to classes at different times. We commute at different times. So if we both wanted a pass for multiple vehicles, it'll cost us more. Another big one that we proposed was a dean's list. You know, if you're going to school and you're doing good and your academics are good, there should be a reward. You know, instead of getting your name just on the list, you should also have an incentive of maybe half off of a parking pass for that semester.
Even
And-
dean's list parking. Like,
Dean's even like Miles said, a dean's list parking specific for those students who are excelling academically.
Yeah. Now that we've talked a little bit about the background that got us to this parking problem, let's transition to how the actual project went.
Hi, my name is Eric Visser. I'm in my 5th year as the athletic director of Solano College. To experience community college and its mission has been an outstanding experience. Solano College has a very rich tradition in intercollegiate athletics dating back to 1947. I'm very proud to communicate that rich tradition is still being continued with fine young men and women that represent Solano College on and off the court. In the fall we have the volleyball program. We have a very successful women's soccer program. We have both men's and women's basketball. And then we transition to 4 programs: baseball, of softball, men's women's tennis, and men's and women's swimming. It is our mission to excel our programs and our student athletes in academics. All of our student athletes are committed to give back to the community. And we would invite you to be a part of Solano College Athletics by visiting our website www.solanoathletics.com, and you feel a warm welcome at Solano.
So now that we've given a little bit of backstory, before we really got into the project, what were your expectations of the outcomes that we were going to do?
So, I mean, my expectation was for the school to be real receptive of the idea, and to hopefully allow us to present to them, and for them to kind of accept it,
Yeah.
and try to get it out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I know personally, I thought it was going to be a situation where we presented the problem to one person, and then from there it would just be like a smooth sailing, just, okay, we hear your problem, here is the solution. But sadly, I think it was a lot more of like going through red tape and things like that, and just like meeting with multiple people just to try to get this solved. And it just really was like an eye-opening situation to really realize that you have to go through the whole like channel of communication and stuff like that. I think really it was almost, I know Pav spoke before, like you got to really choose wisely your project, because I think it kind of turned into a way bigger project than I expected, really.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any?
Yeah,
Well, I
most
just-
definitely. Yeah, it
I
was
just
like
didn't
tears.
think it was gonna be like. I didn't think it was gonna be so hard to figure out who we had to go talk to.
Yeah.
That was I think that was like the problem, because we were gonna get thrown all over the place.
Going off that, Gavin, could you talk about some of the road bumps that we came about?
Yeah, it was like Romero was saying, it's like finding out who we have to talk to, and then once we talk to them, we have to go to the next step, the next step. Like I was saying, it's like tiers of working up. But ultimately, I felt like we had a good solution. I thought they were gonna, in a sense, listen a little more, but it didn't, come out the way we wanted. But I still feel like we have a good.
Yeah, because
idea.
at the meeting.
Yeah, how was
the
the meeting?
So I mean, the meeting, we sat there, we talked. It was good. It felt like it was like we were like real productive, and like we left the meeting thinking like, okay, cool. Come Monday or Tuesday, we're gonna hear back, and then we're gonna, hopefully by next semester at least get something going, because what we got was, okay, well, I'm gonna look into this, and then we're gonna figure out how we can get it out there. And I mean, literally nothing came
it
from
was-
that.
No
Nothing,
callbacks.
absolutely
I
nothing.
think something that's really interesting through the process is we realize there's not a specific person who just focuses on parking.
Yeah.
We thought we have a great idea that should be implemented, that should immediately be put into action, and we realize the hierarchy and the chain of command is talk to this person, get to this person, and the people we talk to, I feel, never communicated with each other.
Yeah, and I think also another thing that played into it was Solano has a lot of interim deans, and
Yeah.
I think that kind of stops you from creating true change, because these deans, they don't really want to come into work not really having a true job, and now you're gonna go and try to turn everything upside down. And we're trying to create a project where we're literally asking Solano to take less money, and so it was like out the gate, it was a rough problem. And then you go to talk to people that really don't have the type of power that we thought they did have. Going off that, were there any things that you would change about the project that we did?
Well, looking into it, I think we had a great, solid plan. You know, not really a lot of holes you can poke into it. So for me, I'm fine with what we came up with. However, like if we were to, I mean, I guess not change our plan, but, you know, make it a little different is how to, you know, implement better just parking. You know what I mean? Just better, more parking, but just better parking lots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about you?
I feel that the amount of money that we pay, first off, there should definitely be more changes that we see. If we were to do anything different, maybe just go at it a little more aggressively, because it is a need for a change. You know, from last semester pricing to this semester pricing, it nearly doubled. The tickets that these parking meters give doubled. It went from a $20 parking ticket to a $49 parking ticket. And oftentimes you would see it to where it would be almost instant. It wasn't, I've seen the parking meter and people get tickets within 5 minutes of parking. You know, the leniency for college students and the amount of money we have to start with, I feel the system should have worked with us a little more than it did.
I think one thing also we should have addressed is I think we should have tried to get more students behind us. I think instead of us being just a group trying to talk about it, I think we should have had like the student body behind us, because then the people at the top of Solano would have seen it as more of a, okay, we can just brush this group off, instead of it would have been more of like, we can't just not acknowledge all these students that are asking for change. And
even just like a petition form, you know, a bunch of signatures.
Yeah, cause I think we could have. I think, although because since we're students here, we, you know, what we pay into, like we get, I think, public transportation, I think for free. But I think, although that helps, I still think that, you know, the school should do something better to get students, you know, to ride together. Because although, you know, you can ride the bus, I think that's still a little more difficult than just riding with someone. And think, you know, if you get in a car, you're gonna be on time to exactly, you know, you can leave and go work, you know, go to work or come straight here, vice versa. So.
With that being said, I wanted to ask you guys, and this might be a hard question to answer. Do you think there's any like motives as to why Solano pushed back against this? Like as to why they didn't really want to make as much change?
I would say money.
Yeah.
We were asking them to do the same work, if not more, for less money.
Yeah.
And, you know, typically as a person, no one wants to do the same work and get less. I feel that money was a big part of it. That and maybe the amount of work that they would have to initiate and start. And, you know, they already moved forward with changing the machines to accept $2 instead of $1. And maybe from that component and that aspect of it, they weren't willing to give, you know.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we have to look at it as Solano is still a business. You know what I mean? Like, we go to these schools thinking that it's just like, oh, it's higher learning, but it's still a business. And for us to try to come at them with, okay, take away this huge revenue, it's like, it was going to be an uphill battle from the start.
But at the same time, I mean, yeah, you know, we're asking them to take a cut, but I mean, we're still a student body here. Sure. I mean, we still got to do what's best for us. I mean, we're the ones trying to figure out how to commute. I mean, some students just might not have it. It might not be accessible.
Yeah, but I think for that same reason, we all, you know how we all said it was a commuter school. I think that's how they look at it. Like, you know, as long as the roofs ain't falling down, like, they're fine here. You know what I mean? We don't really want to invest more time than we need to on certain things. But that's just one way to look at it. But from my perspective, that's what I just believe how they're going about it.
Yeah, was there anything else you guys wanted to add on how we did with the project before we transition? I think we really summed up how the project really went on campus. Although we did come into it with a lot of good ideas, I think sometimes we just all the things were against us. But
Yeah.
now that we kind of spoke about how the project went for us, we're gonna transition into what we final notes or what we think that we can come up of after this whole project and what we learned.
When I'm not here, I'm here.
And when I'm not here, I'm here.
Now that we've talked about a little bit on our project and how it went and what we could have done better, could we kind of step back and talk about like how you guys liked working in a group, or what some of your concerns were before getting put into the group and how it actually ended up with? How about you, Romero?
I mean, when I added the class, I was told that POF was gonna be picking groups based on like this survey online that we had to do, and I mean, I personally I had never been like a fan of groups because like some people did work, some didn't, some people showed up, some didn't. So I was very like hesitant on like this online survey thing. I'm just gonna get stuck with some people that might just still be like that. And so that was my main concern was like I was like I like to work alone, for academic stuff because I'm like my grade is important, to move forward.
With that being said, how did it end up being with
No,
the
I
group
mean,
you picked?
I think like all of us kind of like meshed really well together. I think like all of our personalities kind of like really aligned like perfectly. I think we got along not only for like school stuff, but like we have other stuff in common outside of school. So I think that made it easy to kind of just relate to each other.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique situation where we're all our own person, but as a group, we really just worked well. And I know, like, I've done a lot of group projects in Solano, and like you say, it's just like you either end up in that group where nobody wants to do anything, or everybody wants to do too much. There's too many cooks in the kitchen, and I think like this group just kind of just worked, honestly. And it's just a unique thing where we have like all these strong-willed people, but we could kind of put that aside to like do the greater mission, and it was just unique to see, honestly.
No, I was very pessimistic when POF presented the idea of, like Romero said, picking a group on just based on a personality test. And that was like a little daunting. I was like, oh God, who are we going to end up with? And I looked around the room during the semester at other groups, and I truly don't know how any of us would have gelled with those other groups. We're all very strong personalities, outspoken, even, just besides classwork, when we did our first group project at the batting cage, and we all bonded and we all had fun, and it wasn't a forced thing. It was very natural. Like, even though we're all strong at personalities, we bounced ideas off of each other really well. No one shut nothing down. It was like, oh, let me hear that out. We could go this way. So I think based off that test, I mean, it knew something,
What about you, Gavin?
Yeah, I agree. Like Raymond was saying, no one's like ideas were shut down. Like everyone in this group values what the other person has to say, even if they believe it's right or wrong or whatever. And I feel like that's very important. And like Jared said, we're all very different, but and like Ramon, like we mesh together well. And it's kind of weird, but it worked out really good. And I think we all had a good sense of shared meaning between all of our conversations. We're into a lot of the similar ideas.
What about you, Miles?
Hey, I'm no complaints, man. I like this group. You know what I mean? It's like it's rare when you get like in a group that you actually want to come to class and be a part of it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what we got here with this test.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes you get into some stuff and it'd be hard to get to class. But this group is nice, man. I like it. I like it.
It was. I mean, it was nice too because, I mean, we all understood each other's situations. Like we had we all have stuff going on, and I think that was another good thing was like, I don't think none of us here really like wanted to pressure one another to be like, oh, like if you don't come, this is gonna be the consequence. Although we had that contract, like we had our expectations. I mean, me personally, I don't know how you guys felt, but like me personally, I never felt pressure to be like, oh man, if I don't show up, like these guys are just gonna like boot me or they're gonna like go behind my back and like try to get me out. It was just very like, I'm like, oh, if it was very like, I knew all I had to do was let you guys know exactly what was going on, and I didn't have to worry about anything else. I wasn't gonna get questioned further than that. I think it was just you guys were very understanding.
Yeah, no one was gonna harangue you or harass you about anything. I went on vacation during our group. Miles had some stuff come up. Ramiro has work. I don't think Jarris ever missed one, but
hey, man.
I don't think Gavin won. So I mean, but we were all very understanding. No one, not one time in the group text did someone say, "Oh, we're falling behind because of you. You're not doing your share." I feel like whenever we felt the pressure, we gelled together.
And honestly, I think I'll speak for myself personally. Like I've had a lot of groups, like I've said, and this is the only one that I would really say that I created like friendships. Like I don't see this as just like my group in class. Like I could honestly, like, if you guys need anything, I would for sure be there. But I think that this is just a unique situation. I just worked out, and sometimes those things happen. I'm just really happy that we finished the project, even though we weren't as successful as we wished for. I think that we did learn a lot, and I think Solano will kind of look at what the stuff that we proposed in the future, because something needs to be done. The change is there, and if something isn't done, the only people that will be hurting are the students, and that's just something that we truly saw throughout this whole project.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the biggest thing like I personally learned was like, just really respecting respecting and being open to receiving other people's points of views and their because like I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but if I'm open to it, I might be able to learn or just understand that person. Like like Jarris and I had a conversation that we literally didn't agree, and we were kind of discussing it. It was outside of class, but at no point where did we ever argue or even like really butt heads or nothing. It was just like a really open conversation where you had a point of view and I had a point of view, but we weren't really understanding each other. So I think, but after the conversation, after we got into it, we kind of like figured out like, okay, I mean, I get your point of view, I get your point of view. So I think that that's my biggest advice moving forward to anyone being in a group is really just be open minded, be receptive.
Find the common ground, and that's what we were.
Put your emotions aside.
Yeah, exactly.
We all found the common ground.
To summarize, I think that we really succeeded with our goal of trying to create a new project on campus. I think this group right here is a unique thing on campus where you see community college students come together and try to create change. Thank you for watching this with us, and hopefully you'll be hearing from us soon.
If you are interested in a career in sports broadcasting, whether you're commentating a live game
or hosting your own TV show,
or working behind the scenes, then this is the class for you.
For more information, contact Greg Poff, that's me, at solano.edu.
we hope to see you here next semester, and remember,
It's more than just sports, it's an education.
yeah.